Okay. I think we are all set. Hello and welcome to Plugin Along, a stream dedicated to LOTRO plugins. Last time on Plugin Along, we switched from the Titan bar plugin to the Festival Buddy 2 plugin to incorporate French and German strings for Hobnanigans. Hobnanigans was not active during last stream, but over the weekend before, I had done some recording of chat statements by the different referees, and I hope to line everything up. Today, we're going to take advantage of both Midsummer and Yule being active to update the barter windows for both of these. And a feature I introduced a while back was the idea of dividers, so that you could kind of organize the barter window a little bit better, and we're going to incorporate that into these two festivals. I don't think it's been done there yet. So, as always, feel free to jump into the chat with your thoughts and questions about LOTRO in general, plugins in specific. And in the meantime, let's go ahead and rearrange some windows. Oh, apparently a cat was eating chicken behind me. I think it's done. Okay. Cool. Okay. A couple of questions already in chat. L in chat says, does Festival Buddy work like a checklist for quests? And the answer is it can. There is a quick guide feature for some festivals, and I was inspired to make it because of Midsummer. So we can show that off real fast. And then, what else? Lizardin in chat says, is there a plugin that changes only the size of dressing rooms? Plugins in general don't interact with the dressing room mechanic in the game. However, skins can do that, and you can download skins that adjust everything or just the dressing room over at LOTROinterface.com. Okay, so Festival Buddy is a plugin, and Festival Buddy 2 is a continuation of that plugin, incorporating new festivals, updating the design of it, and so on. Question in chat from X. Have you made a Runekeeper plugin specifically for raids? I haven't made a Runekeeper plugin at all. However, I am but one member of the LOTRO plugin community, and it wouldn't surprise me if other people had an interest in such things. The first thing I do when I have a question like that is head on over to LOTROinterface.com, and in the download section, there are categories for different plugins, and there is a class-specific category. And so the first place I would go is to go to the Runekeeper category and see what have people done here. And it looks like there hasn't been a lot of work in the Runekeeper arena, but there is an attunement display. However, there are some more generic plugins that people will use for class-specific things. So Prime is an example of a plugin that a lot of people use for raiding. If you are a raider, you probably already have heard of it. And I know buff bars and other plugins can be configured to really help taking that generic tool and helping for specific class goals. So I don't play a Runekeeper regularly, so I don't actually have any good recommendations for that. But if anyone else in chat does, please feel free to pop them in. Okay. X says, thank you so much. Well, I don't know if I was actually very helpful, but you are welcome. Okay, for Festival Buddy, when you go to the Midsummer section of Festival Buddy, when you select that festival at the top, there is a window here, and the bottom is a quick guide button. And if you open that up, this is a quick guide that will run you through basically every Midsummer quest in Midsummer Minas Tirith that you can do. However, you may not want to do all of these. This is more than 10 quests. So in the options window, one of the things you can do is you can select which of the quests that you want to show up in this quick guide. For instance, maybe you think honoring healers is a pain in the butt and you don't want to do it. So if you deselect that, all of the honoring healers specific items from this list just go away. They don't get shown to you. They don't get in the way. Maybe you don't like floral crowns, so we'll deselect that. And you'll see this one, take floral crowns from florist. That one's going to go away. So using these checkboxes, you can customize just which ones you want to do. So if you only want to do a specific 10 of them, you might say, oh, I want to do a cure for all ills and growing pains and something floral and tasty morsels. And as you do this, you'll see each of the quest objectives for each of those quests kind of filling into the quick guide. The quick guide will try to automatically detect when you complete an objective, but it is paying attention to your chat window. So some of these will say to do something manually. For instance, floral crowns. Continue quest with Florist Daughter, craft floral crown. Check manually. So this is a place where we don't get any chat notification that a quest was advanced in any way. And when we don't have that, a plugin can't really know that you did the thing. So you do the thing, you check the thing off, and it'll disappear. But most of these will automatically detect. Only the ones that say check manually will not. The easiest things for a plugin to detect are picking up or completing a quest. And a lot of times interacting with an NPC, for instance, giving treats out to, that's actually a bad example, grooming a horse or feeding horses apples, you'll usually get some sort of chat notification, fed 1 of 3 horses, groomed 1 of 3 horses. So we can pay attention to that and say, aha, when you hit 3 of 3 horses, we know that you've completed that section of it. So that's how the quick guide kind of auto-progresses through all the things that you're doing. Little Redhead just demonstrated using this on her stream before mine, so I think I'll go ahead and not run through this whole thing on screen here. Feel free to check that out if you're curious. If there's any specific questions you have using the quick guide, of course, feel free to pop that up in chat here. There are some colors that I was introducing in one of the other quick guides, and which one was that? Possibly Yule. Does Yule have a quick guide? Yeah. So in the Yule quick guide, which I was just doing a few months ago, it feels like, but half a year ago, I decided that I wanted to have some color coding going on, or the ability to do color coding, such that if you're looking, if your eyes are just being like, where do I go next? You can be looking at locations which are red, or I'm supposed to be picking up a quest, that's blue. Making mischief, that's blue. But I wanted to make it optional because just because I want colors, I didn't want to inflict that on people. So for quick guides that have colors enabled, you can change the colors in the options, or you can just disable that. If all of this blue is just a little bit too much, just disable it. The text will be recolored such that only the colors that you have applied are there. If you really just want to know about locations and quest items and nothing else, you can do it, absolutely. Or if you just don't like that color, maybe that blue color just doesn't do it for you and you really like to be like a dark red, that's totally fine, you can do it. If you change your mind and, what was that one, just hit that default button. Lucha in chat says, do you still need to use Festival Buddy 1 if you have Festival Buddy 2? Festival Buddy 2 is meant to be a drop-in replacement for Festival Buddy 1. It kind of picks up where Festival Buddy 1 left off. I had been doing a patch updating the behavior of Festival Buddy for a while. And eventually it got pretty cumbersome to be doing that as a patch instead of just as a full-on plugin. So I branched off at that point and just went ahead and...
So the answer is no.
Excuse me, something in my throat. So I branched off Festival Buddy 1. So at this point, Festival Buddy 1 is just a much older version. You can use it, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's more and more out of date with the list of festivals and with things like the barter window and just the basic functionality that I've been introducing over time. So I would recommend stop using Festival Buddy 1. You can leave it installed if you want. I think I still have it installed. But just use Festival Buddy 2. That's enough. Of course I don't have it installed here. This is my demonstration system. Okay, so Scosi in chat says, using Quick Guide right now. Awesome. And this is a really nice combination of festivals because we have both Midsummer and Yule Quick Guides ready to go here. So, and in the Gale Association, I forgot about that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and shrink down this window and keep it around. Okay, so what are we doing here today? Well, one of the things Festival Buddy does, and this is an ambitious goal because it continually gets out of date. But one of the things Festival Buddy does is has a barter window, and this barter window shows you all the things that you can barter during the festival, or at least all the things that you could barter back in like 2014 when this list was last updated. So what I want to do is bring it up to date with what you can barter nowadays. And one of the features I introduced after Festival Buddy 1 was the idea of just categories, ways to segment off this display. Now, a thing that would be really neat is to introduce a tree view to this, and that might be beyond the scope of today's stream. But what I want to do is be able to present things in the categories that you find them in the UI. So cosmetic, clothing, and you could even indicate who has these things if you're in a festival where really just one person is bartering them. But in this case, there's 3 different barterers here in town and possibly more in other places for Yule. So I will be happy just replicating these categories. So how do we do that? Well, in the code, the barter items, and this is basically a historical layout that I've done very little about. In the code, the barter items is a list of items by festival, and each entry has possibly 3 different items in there. This line here is a really good example. So this is for internal item code that we can use to create an item display in this window, so that you can actually hover over it and link it in chat and that kind of thing. So that's the item ID for a thing. So Frosty Beverage is hex code 7001E824. Cool. The second thing is a list of currencies you have to spend in order to buy the thing. For the vast majority of barter items, that's a single currency with a single amount. This is 5 Yule Festival tokens. But there are some things that require 2 or more currencies in order to barter. We actually have a couple of those here, or at least one of them here in Yule. If you go to the, not essence, dye? It was some category that I was surprised at. Hang on. Unless it's not this person at all. It could be this one. Okay. One of them has a few items. Let's see. I can actually pull it up in my list here. Gold. The more the merrier rewards of all things. Okay. Who are those? There we go. Okay, so in this window we can see that the Horned Snowbeak Cloak costs 50 Yule Festival tokens and 1 Golden Festival token. And the Snowbeast Boots costs 50 Yule and 1 Golden. And you can purchase Golden Festival tokens for 75 Yule Festival tokens. Or if you have too many Golden Festival tokens, you can downgrade them into 25 Yule Festival tokens, which is not a winning cycle to do over and over. Okay, I'm curious why I saw 3 ones over here. Okay, I found a bug. There we go. So that list there in code, this is a list of currencies. Usually there's just a single entry in that list. But as we can see right here, we can see 50 Yule festivals and 1 Yule Gold Festival. Cool. And then the third thing that can happen is how many of the thing you are getting from the vendor, assuming it is more than 1. The default value is 1. But for instance, with these consumables, which a lot of people will get for deeds, you can see we're getting 5 of them. 5 Frosty Beverages for 5 tokens. Which would be nice if there was a way to scale it up, like give me enough for the deed for however many tokens that takes, but that's okay. That's out of scope for today. So the third optional parameter here is how many of the thing. If it's 1, you can just leave it empty. That 1 is the default. If it's something different than 1, you'll put it in there. So this is not an easy system to be writing by hand. One would say it's a frustrating system to try to write by hand. It's super easy to make mistakes while you're doing this. Maybe you leave off semicolons. Maybe you don't have enough braces or too many braces. Super easy to make syntax errors. So one of my favorite ways to abuse the Lua language like this is to use a spreadsheet, which is what I've been popping up here in the background. So this spreadsheet is a way to automate the production of the code there. So for instance, the way I've set this up is there can be dividers or items. And if there's items, then we need to have the name of the item, and this is actually just for readability. This is to put the name of the item in the comment so that we can find it again later. The item ID, this is what's going to be in that first parameter there. It does not matter if this is expressed as a decimal number or a hex number, base 16 number. However, it's nice to be consistent. And you can see here we have some inconsistencies that make me less happy. It doesn't really matter which. I really like seeing the hex numbers because it makes it very obvious how closely related all these things are. 7001, 7002, 7003. That very much feels like an item section of the number space here. Whereas if you see, what even is this? 1.8 billion, 1,879,479,288. It just doesn't click with me as much as these hex numbers, which very much are obviously in the 7-something range here. So that's a matter of taste. The important thing I think is to be consistent, regardless. But there are also tools out there that can automate the process of moving back and forth. Sublime Text has a well, what do they call them? Plugin something extension where you can just feed it in a number and get out the corresponding number in another base. So these are all in decimal. So if I do the decimal to hex conversion, cool. Now I've got a bunch of hex numbers. And if I want to put them into Lua code, I just prefix them with 0x. Awesome. Or if I wanted to take them from decimal to binary, yeah, I can do that if I, really wanted to. I don't. Or I can take them from decimal probably to octal. No. Maybe that's just the 3. But that's the point. Is I wouldn't be converting these one at a time if I can avoid it. Get a tool. Elle says that's a lot of coding. Yeah, there's a lot of code behind these plugins, or can be, especially if they have a lot of item lookups like this. Elle says, does Festival 82 currently work for all festivals? Festival 82 has information about all current festivals. So you'll see the list in this drop down up here at the top. And you can see Spring Anniversary, Midsummer, Farmers Fair, Harvest Math, and Yule, which are the periodic ones throughout the year, as well as Hobnanigans, which will generally happen a couple times per year, and In-League Ale Association, which is active for most of the above festivals. But it has its own section here because those quests are very specific to In-League Ale Association. There's varying levels of support for questing within each, generally based off of how difficult is the quest. So if we go to Harvest Math, we can see a list of quests here. And one of the things I've been enjoying doing is including little mini maps to help you find your way. So for instance, a race through the haunted burrow. The haunted burrow can be very confusing to navigate, and I find it helpful once I have navigated in there to just have a little reminder of what's going on. Now, this might be a little difficult to see, so we're going to go ahead and scale it up. Not 2.1. There we go. So this is the haunted burrow, and this is the route that I like to take through the haunted burrow. I feel like it's basically the most efficient thing you can do if you're doing a full run through, like for a race through the haunted burrow. If you're doing specific targeted quests, then you don't necessarily want to run through the entire burrow. But if you are running through the entire burrow, you're going to start at the main door here. You're going to go into the attic, collect the proof. You're going to leave the attic. You're going to go into the cobwebbed wing. You're going to collect the proof. You're going to leave. In the creeping wing, you'll collect the proof. You'll leave, and so on. So we're in the basement, then we collect the proof, we leave, we're back in the main cellar, and we leave the house. Like, that's a pretty exhaustive searching of there. And if you want to do something more simple, more straightforward, like Roaring Maw, there we go. So if you're just trying to go into the cobweb wing, you will still have to run through a lot of the other wings to get out, or use a special ability to leave. But if that's on cooldown or whatnot, if you're not a hunter and you can't just port to the campsite fire, then this is kind of the minimum amount of running you have to do. You don't have to visit the attic at all, but you do kind of have to visit the other wings. So this level of detail, this level of quest mapping, is inconsistent across the different festivals, and partly because it's challenging to be able to contribute something useful to everything. Valuables gone astray, cool, yeah, anything in the Haunted Burrow I tried to add support for. But if you're not in the Haunted Burrow during Harvest Math, it might not even show up here at all. Oh, that's a funny problem. We'll have to come back to that. Yeah, so the Tanglecorn mazes, I added initial support for them, but they are different every day. So one of the challenges is you have to go into the Tanglecorn and figure out what is today's maze, and then for the rest of the event on the server, you are just stepping forward one day at a time. So we as a plugin can know, oh, it was maze number 1 yesterday, so today it's maze number 2. But you have to go into the maze and you have to figure out, what do you see? Which one of these 5 things is the maze? So that's a little bit harder. But once you do that, we can show you the Tanglecorn map mazes, maze information for that. And if you have if you use /LOC, we'll even put where you are on this map. So that's Challenging Wheat, Cheat of the Wheat. For day number 2, looks like that. So there's support there. If we go into Midsummer, this is probably where I first wanted to go really nuts with all the mini-map supports. You'll see pretty good support there. Other festivals, maybe not so much. I don't know. I haven't actually checked to see what am I missing here. Anniversary. Yep, Fireworks and Brie, no map, Lost Invitations, Mightiest Blow. Yeah, I really haven't done much for the anniversary beyond basic support that was already there. Okay, cool question. Lucha says, do you have any other quality of life plugins you would recommend? Yes, I do. Thank you for asking. So I'm a little biased, but one of the other ones I really enjoy is the D-Tracker plugin, and this is one that I wrote. And it's just an in-game way to keep track of which deeds you have and have not completed. And it presents them in a more hierarchical fashion than the in-game deed log, which just sorts them by category and then by name, which I find not helpful for the way I want to think about them. So Deeds of the Shire, you can see hierarchically, depends on having done Explorer of the Shire, Life of the Bound or Final, Slayer of the Shire, and then everything else is sort of a sub deed underneath one of those meta deeds. I also like being able to use the data to give you information like where is the party tree, where is the metal stage, where is Stock Tower, and if you have the Waypoint plugin, which is also a really nice one, you can use these little buttons to just give you an on-screen arrow that points you in the direction that you're supposed to go, which is very nice. I'm going to put a list in chat there of some that other people really like. You might check them out, see which ones appeal to you. Titan Bar is one that I'm actively working on improving on Plugin Along here when it's not in the middle of a festival. And it's a really nice way of consolidating information at the top of your screen. Travel Window 2, very nice, especially if you have a lot of travel skills, as I do. Oh, and one thing that you can see in chat there is the recommendation of using the LOTRO Plugin Compendium, which is a third-party program that you can download that will manage the installation of plugins for you. I've gone and launched the wrong thing. Plugin Compendium. There we go. That's the one. So, for this one, if I wanted to go ahead and add in Travel Window, I can go ahead and select Travel Window 2, add it in, and it's done. So that's the installation process if you're not doing it manually. And with Travel Window 2, you'll see a little suitcase pop up on the right side of the screen. And when you open it, you'll get a window, and this window can show you all of your travel skills in one convenient place. I find it very handy. Highly recommended. I would like to make that taller. As you can see, even with my Minstrel, I have acquired a bunch of them for the first 95 levels, and I'm going to get more. If you're a hunter or another class that also has guide to muster skills, whatever, you're going to find the number of your travel skills balloons a lot. Cool. Anyway, check those out. Check out, just in general, if you're curious what other people find useful, on the LOTRO interface site, you can go to the download section, and within a category, you can just sort by downloads. and see historically what has had a bunch of downloads. We can see a lot of people have been interested in combat analysis. But bear in mind that plugins are useful for people if they fill a niche somehow. If you're very interested in analyzing combat statistics, then combat analysis is going to be your jam. If you don't care about combat statistics, you're just not going to get a lot of use out of that. So, kind of pick and choose based off of your playstyle. Are you a more casual player who doesn't really care about tweaking every last ounce of performance out of your combat? Yeah, don't worry about combat analysis then. It's unnecessary for your playstyle. Titan bar, as I said, that's one I find very useful. But beware, over time, plugin authors will come and plugin authors will go. And if a plugin is really popular and successful, someone else will usually try to pick it up and carry it forward. So if I'm interested in a plugin called Titan bar, and I'm not using a tool like the LOTRO Plugin Compendium to kind of guide me towards the correct ones, so if I search for Titan bar, it'll call out the one that is currently being maintained. I say current. Duriel's last update was end of 2022. We'll see if that changes. But if you do a search on LOTRO interface for Titan bar, you'll see a lot of plugins and some patches. So remember that you should can and probably should sort by date and figure out. Okay, this is the most recent Titan bar. And then there were some patches for Motion Ember and German client for something called CalcStat. Okay, I don't use CalcStat, so I don't have to worry about that. So cool. This most recent thing here, that's the one I want. And everything else older than that maybe doesn't matter so much. The original Titan bar by Hobnanigans is still the largest downloaded thing out there, according to the stats. And so that'll show up if you just sort by download number. So just be aware you might not be downloading the most recent thing. So paying attention to when it was last updated is important. That being said, a plugin doesn't have to be updated recently to be useful. The LOTRO API does not change very rapidly. And so plugins that were written 5 or 10 years ago might still be just as effective now as they were when they were first released. It just says, what's Titan bar for? Titan bar. Let's go ahead and add it in. Just click that, add, it's done. Cool. Remember, if you change your list of plugins while LOTRO is running, you'll need to click this little green arrow here to force it to relook at that inventory. And when we load up Titan bar, it has added a little bar of information at the top of the screen. So, for instance, if I want to, I'm in the middle of festivals right now, so if I want to track my Yule festival tokens in a visual way, I might put them on this bar. And if I want to track my Midsummer tokens, I might go ahead and put them on the bar as well. Now, I might be a little bit worried about my Embers of Enchantment spilling over, but not so worried that I want them on the bar. My right mouse button is having problems. So I'm going to put them on the tooltip, Motes of Enchantment, in the tooltip, and did I already do that one? Yeah. What's the other one? Motes of Enchantment, Embers of Enchantment, and Figments of Splendor. That's the other one. So I might want to have these readily available. I might not want to have to go into my wallet and then search for them amongst all of my tokens. So I can just hover over here and see, oh yes, one of those is very close. In fact, they're all really close to max. So I want to keep an eye on that. Here's my Yule tokens right here. Here's my Midsummer tokens right here. And so I can have sort of a heads-up display of useful information at my fingertips. That's Titan bar's jam. If I wanted to also keep an eye on my money for some reason, we can go ahead. Oh, right, it is by default there. Haha. We can see 362 gold. Cool, if for some reason I cared about that. But maybe I don't, so we're just going to go ahead and say don't show that. One of the things I actually use it for quite a lot is the time display here. For one thing, I want to know the server time and the current time. There we go. So we can see, according to this clock, my real time is 12 after 8 in the evening, but server time it's 14:12. And that's really useful to me for a couple of reasons. One, there are a number of things that reset according to server time. Quests, for instance, generally reset at 3 a.m. server time. So I like having a heads-up display of when server time is, but I also want to know when it is for me time as well. So being able to have both of them right there, 24-hour time, super useful. I just tuck it in the corner there, and that's my in-game clock. So I don't have to leave the game to get a clock down here that says it's 2013. I can just come up here and say, oh, it's 2013. Cool. Fantastic. The other big thing I use it for is in-game time of day. Day and night time. Yep, there we go. So it is currently afternoon, and I could find that out by hovering over something in game, I feel like. I'm not sure. Maybe just looking around. So it's currently afternoon, but what I care about more, especially for festivals like Midsummer, is how long is it going to be until nighttime so I can go hunting for fireflies. And we can see it must have recently turned afternoon because it's another 18 minutes until dusk. And after dusk, I think there's gloaming, and then there's twilight. Like this, it's going to be a while, so I should work on other things. And so the what time is it in game and how long is it until the next time I find really useful. The one thing I would do to change this is to tell me if the next thing is also going to be daytime or nighttime. I would find that really useful for Midsummer. Like, is dusk night? I don't think dusk is night. Is gloaming night? Oh, suddenly we start having problems, or I start having problems. And so that's when I start going into the wiki, and there's a time of day entry on the wiki, and that'll tell me, oh, okay, dusk is part of daytime, sure, and gloaming is part of night. Why not? And the foredawn, definitely part of night, but dawn, definitely part of day. And so those distinctions seem a little fuzzy to me, but it's fine. It'll also tell you how long each one takes. So we can see afternoon, we have 17 minutes left. In total, wall clock time, it takes about 28 minutes to move through afternoon. So says the wiki. And another 18 minutes after that. So that could be a fun way to enhance the day and night control, is not only just showing the next time, but showing me it is 16 minutes out of how many, how far are we through this? Maybe some sort of a progress bar or something. Maybe a clock face on top of the sun. I don't know. Representing information can be tricky, but that could be a fun way to make changes. And that's just me putting on my plugin developer hat as I look at it. So that's Titan Bar. Okay, so the code to support these things is tricky. So what I like to do when I have a lot of repetitious code for things that are a little bit more freeform, like the names of things and the IDs and how many festival tokens are we doing, is I like to just put together a spreadsheet, and that spreadsheet generates the Lua code that I need using string concatenations. It's really, I don't know if it's a good solution, but it's a solution. The one thing that we need to do, though, after we've gone through and gotten the list of these things by talking to vendors, is getting that internal ID. And there's probably a couple different ways to do this, but I do have a little tool that lets me just get these IDs. And so we can go through some of those here just so we can see that. So this tool has loaded up all the different things in game. And so if I give it, say, Snowstrider's mantle, it'll say, hey, the item key for that is this. All right. That works for me. And so I just copy the thing, paste it over here, copy the ID, paste it over here. And so I can knock out a lot of these pretty fast because it's very repetitious. However, there are a few times when a label gets you more than one result. For instance, Saddle of the Ice Flower. This is probably due to different sizes of player characters, and therefore there's a Saddle of the Ice Flower for large characters and for small characters, probably. But unfortunately, because the label is exactly the same, it is difficult to know what's up. So my basic technique is take the first one and then look at it in game and see if it looks correct. So I just bold the items here as a reminder to go back and look at that later. So however you're getting your IDs, and there's ways a plugin can tell you the item ID if you have something, but to save you having to get all the things, this little tool is a nice little helper here. if I wanted to be really fancy, I could probably make a more improved version of this that takes a whole list of things and spits out the item IDs. But this is nice because sometimes I make typos when I type this down. So if I had written Yule candles, for instance, in the plural, we'd see no result found. Whereas if we corrected, oh, it was Yule candle, okay, then we find the item. Same thing actually earlier. I realized I had written down the theater incorrectly. I'd written it with the American spelling of ER instead of the British spelling of RE. And so the lookup just failed because it was not in there. There's absolutely no theaters with an ER in Middle Earth. Okay, so that's the basic thing, is once you have this tool, getting these item IDs just doesn't take very long. It's just 5 or 10 minutes of doing this. Usually I'll fire up like something in the background, like a YouTube video or podcast or something to do while I'm doing all this, right? How many more of these do we have to go? Too many. Okay. So once we've done that, once we've collected all the IDs, the spreadsheet can get to work. And so what's going on in the rest of the spreadsheet? Well, what I needed to do was to produce this output. This output has to have two things always there. The item ID, the in-game item ID, and the list of currencies it takes to buy the thing. And again, usually that's a list of one item, but it's still a list because it's much easier to just assume that that thing is going to be a list than to check, oh, do I only have a single item or do I have a list of things? So we just assume it's a list, we iterate through it, and it's going to be one or more of those things. Nice to have, not actually required, is the name of the thing. So we can append a comment at the end of it so that when we're looking back in the code later, we can find a thing. And then if it's a divider, we just need the text that we're going to put in the divider there. So once we have this list, we can go ahead and stick it. We can see, because it's just a spreadsheet, I inserted a section here, and so my formula did not copy on down. So just to make sure that I've got everything the way I want it to, I'm going to go ahead and select that first line and bring it on down. Did I go far enough? I did not. Great. Okay. And so we know we don't have everything, but we're going to just do this as a representative. So constructing these things, it's just a matter of string concatenation in a spreadsheet. So the item ID, this is concatenating things in a format that Lou is going to expect. And so we take that item ID and in code, oops, wrong window, we want that to look like the first entry in this table equals, and then that can either be a string that holds the number, or it can be just a number. And the LOTRO API will accept either of them. Personally, if I can store a number over a string, I like to, because numbers just take less space in memory for the same effort here. And so what they're going to do on their end, if they get a string, they're probably just going to parse that into a number anyway. So I either want to store this as a hex number or as a a decimal number, but just store it as a number. Avoid storing things as strings if they are numbers. This is a good reason too. For instance, decimal numbers is a very good reason to prefer string over numerical format. But in this case, they're integers, that it's no problem. Cool. So we wrap that up, just concatenating. It's always entry number 1 in the table, and then we concatenate the number, and then we put a semicolon after it. Awesome, super easy. Item count. This is going to be a conditional because it might not be there. So we can see if the item count is greater than 0, if it's there. Greater than 0 should probably be greater than 1. Interesting. But it is. For right now, I've just been leaving it blank, which in Excel speak is 0. So if that's greater than 0, then go ahead and wrap that up as well. And we get a optional 3 equals whatever the number is, semicolon. Cool. And then the cost, this is actually going to be a meta entry here, showing all the various possible festival tokens. So We have one column for each of the possible festival tokens that you can spend here. And you just put the correct entry there, and then these columns over here, if there's something there, they will wrap it up with the name of the token and the count of it, and always a semicolon. Same thing, festivity token, just wraps it up. Mithril, and cool. I haven't processed too many things that cost mithril yet, but maybe some of the dyes do. Yep, there we go. Cool, and then the gold token, which is like 3 things here, or maybe 2 things. And that's it. So this final Lua column here is just a concatenation of each of those other things. And really it does 2 things. If we're doing a divider, then we do divider. If we're not doing divider, then we do a concatenation of those other things into a correct table entry. So we can go ahead and copy this out. So in game right now, we have, for Yule, barter. Oh, there it is. We have this barter window here. I don't like that it's not resizable, but I also don't like that there's not any categorization. So what we're going to see here is if we come on in, we are going to wipe out some things that we're going to be putting back later. But by just pasting in what we had in Excel there, we can see everything looks well formed. I'm not getting any error messages there. If I unload and reload Festival Buddy, everything still looks good. And then we have categorization. New rewards, Cloak of Ivy Expedition, Hooded Cloak, Boots, Mittens, and so on. And down in the consumables, same thing. We have all those things. And ideally, what we're going to see is that if we go to New Rewards, which one of you has that? New rewards. That these are going to just line up. That the things are going to be the same. The cost is going to be correct. That's a good example. The Wintry Outdoor Fire Pit takes 10 festivity tokens instead of festival tokens. Awesome. Everything looks pretty good there. Now, why is this useful? For one thing, there's multiple different vendors here, and so sorting out what you can buy is sometimes a little non-trivial. And secondly, these are linkable in-game. They act just like any other source of item, like talking to a vendor. So I can right-click this and put it into chat, as you can see down here. So I can send it to someone and say, hey, do you have... and then control right-click this to put that in there, and it'll link just the way that you would expect to. I do not want to escape a key to close the festival window, but thank you. Awesome, much better. So that's a thing, is because it's an in-game item and not just a name, you can look at it and say, oh, I already have that. Or if it is something that is previewable on yourself, like this Cloak of Ice Expeditions, you can do that. Control left click, and you can see what that looks like without having to go to a vendor. So if you're doing something like standing in the theater here in Frostbluff, but you still want to be browsing this information or talking to people about, oh, this is what I found cool, I really like this thing, I really hate this thing, so I'm never going to buy it, all of that, you can interact with the barter window to do that. So that's why I like this barter window. And that's why I like to keep it a little bit up to date. Okay, so we can see the new layout of code makes use of those section dividers, and that's cool. Now I'm wondering if we have enough time to make this a tree of items. I think the answer is maybe not. I'm not prepared for that, but. Interesting. I was just realizing my blue bar is almost gone. I think it's because I did 15 tasks earlier. Oh, that's cool. But I am interested in just going ahead and plowing through and updating this list for Yule at least, and maybe we'll wander over to Midsummer and do the same thing. So the exciting thing is maybe going to drop a little bit because we're just going to be doing some more of this item ID lookup that we were doing before. So using this tool over here and using the spreadsheet, we're just going to fill in those values there. So not a lot to it. Just finding items that don't have IDs, copy them, paste them over here, copy the ID, paste it over there. Repeat a bunch of times. Now, do I feel like this would be better if I made a tool that took in a long list of these things? That is an interesting question. Maybe I just want that for a minute. Yeah, adjusting the tool might make more sense than doing a lot of copy paste when we have such a long list of them. So first, I'm going to grab some water from the other table, and then we're going to get into modifying the tool that allows us to do bulk entry of IDs.
Sorry.
My side table is covered with paperwork, so it's not a good candidate for a glass of water. Okay, so what's going on behind this item ID lookup? Well, that's a great question. It pulls in data dumps from LOTRO Companion, and then just looks up these things there. So what we want to do is we want to take in maybe a text file. Let's do that. Let's go ahead and make a new project, maybe. I'm trying to decide if I want a new one or if I just want to extend this one. Let's go ahead and make a new one. So we're going to go ahead and add a new project. And this is just going to be a console app. That's totally fine. And what are we going to call this? We're going to call this LOTRO ID lookup. And that's fine. Sure, .NET 7. Why not? I should probably download 8. Okay, so what we want to do is pull what we had over here. Which one are you? No. Yeah, we're actually just going to modify that existing program a bit. And then we're going to go ahead and make the ID lookup our startup project. So, what dependencies do we have? We have the label loader lib. And so we want to go ahead and add label loader lib. Okay. If you're not familiar with programming in C#, just hang on. The basics of what we needed to do here are good, so we can actually start writing the code and just changing things around. So where are we pulling the label information and ID information from? That is here. But I'm not actually interested in the language aspect of this. I'm only interested in looking up. I have some English text, and I want the item ID. So before, I was using this to load all of the languages, but I might want to have a list of languages to override what I'm doing. So list string languages to process equals null. Gotta actually spell string right there. So what I want to do is take in an optional list of languages to process, and if that thing is not null, then only process languages that are in it. So new list string, and I don't actually know what that's going to look like, but let's just say it's en or something. Okay, so if languages to process is not equal to null, then we're going to do some stuff. and languages to process dot. I don't actually know what we're looking for here, so we should actually just put a breakpoint here and figure out what does this look like. We're looking for langder dot name. So let's take a look at that. So we have langder. Okay, so this is lore, labels, DE, or whatever. So we are just looking for a 2-character code. Awesome. And languages to process. Great. Okay, so that's great. So if languages to process is not null and language to process does not contain langder.name, then continue. Super easy. If they only requested a subset of languages, do that. Skip what they didn't. Okay, so cool. And how do we know that that's going to work? Well, when we run this, we see in the background, it says adding keys for a language. And so what we were seeing before, and let's just go ahead and do that. What we were seeing before was adding keys for German, for English, for French, and you can see it's about a second or two for each language. And it just complicates things. So cool. New feature, only care about English because that's what I'm working with right now. Optionally, only care about English. So once we have the labels, we can start doing the lookup. Now, if I thought there was never going to be a specific character in some of these things, I could maybe just pass a single large string that's divided up by like a tilde or something. But ideally, I'd like to just enter a bunch of things, just basically copy this block, paste it in. There's a implied return enter key at the end of each line. So paste it in, have it accept all of them, and then maybe accept a special thing that says go and actually do the lookup. Or maybe some file name, go load this file name. I don't know. So I'm going to say enter labels blank line to process. We're going to try that. And then while, can I incorporate all of this? String label. While label equals length does not equal null. Yeah, it was probably a little too much. Yeah, we'll just do. Okay, so we're going to go label equals console readline. If label is not equal null, then I'm so used to Lua. And we want a list of labels, actually. List string labels equals new. And in fact, because we're declaring the type on the right-hand side, we could go ahead and not declare it on the left side. Good. There we go. Okay, so we're declaring labels here. We are going to have a bit of a problem because labels is... okay. Okay, we're going to call it input instead. Label equals that. If it's not equal to null, then input dot add of label. Cool. We'll break out of the loop once that's done. That's our theory. And then, console.writeLine out of loop return 0. let's go ahead and try that out just to demonstrate the looping thing works for the way we think it does. All right, it's not working. Control C was enough to get it out of the loop. So, what are we getting here when it is in a blank line? Not sure. Let's go ahead and find out. So we're going to go ahead and come back in. Would really like this to show up on this screen. Okay, so adding keys, enter labels. So if I just press enter. Oh, sure would be nice to advance past that. Thank you. Okay, label here is test. Awesome. Keep going. And then if I do that, label here is just empty. Okay, perfect. So we can do a string is empty check if string.is null or empty instead of just checking for null. And that will catch both the control C where it was null and the blank line. Okay. Right, if it's not null or empty, and then while. Now we have two different checks here. Var is null or empty equals that. And we could check for, actually we could store the inverse is not null or empty. And then we can do that check here. And we can also, while is not null or empty. Why do you have a problem with that? Fine. Okay, so what do we have here? And do we actually need this declarational label? I think we do not. Okay. So we've confirmed that we can collect an arbitrary number of labels at the command line. Awesome. Now what? Now we want to actually do things for each one. So for each var input in input. Now that may suggest I should have called this inputs. There we go. Do this. So we want to go ahead and trim off var label equals input dot trim. We do want to do that. That's going to trim all leading and trailing white space, but I would also like to trail quotes as well. So if I copied in quotes from somewhere else, or double quotes, just get rid of them. We'll keep that as well. And then we want to call labels get labels on that. So cool, we can hoist that all up. And we want to write something out. So what we want to write out is probably something like this. Just to say, what did we find? No results found. And then if we do find something, we'll write out something else instead. What's up with you? Of course, there's an else statement. Yeah, well, you know what? Let's assume that's going to be useful for us. Okay, else, what we really care about is the key, and really care about knowing if there are multiples detected or not. So we're going to go ahead and say console.writeLine, and again, we're going to spit out the label. And we'll probably adjust this a couple times before we're done. In fact, we want this to be friendly for going into Excel, so let's do tab separated. And then we're going to go ahead and do results 0 dot something. Item 2, possibly. What do we think it is? I think it's actually item 2's value. You know, I'm not sure. Let's go check it out. So we're going to debug that. Investments in the Northern Sky. Great. Okay, so the thing after key colon certainly makes sense. Result.item1. There we go. So that's all we care about here. But I will say, if results.count is greater than 1, then I want to call that out somehow. So var more than 1. And we're just going to go ahead and say more than 1 equals just that. And then we'll go ahead and concatenate that in after here. In fact, let's do it with a tab. Again, we want that to be Excel friendly. And that's it. So we can get rid of all the rest of that. Unreachable code, really? Yeah. So we don't actually need a while true anymore. I think we do not. We're always going to loop around. And let's give that a try. What's your complaint? Possible null reference. Nope, don't care. Okay, so we now have this. So if we go ahead and put in these 3 here, hit a breakpoint. Don't want that. And then go ahead and do this. Thank you. We go ahead and get this output. So can I just copy paste that back in? Excel didn't like that. But why not? It didn't like it. Well, you know, easy enough to fix, actually. Well, let's come into the code and separate things with tildes instead. You know, let's make life easier and just have that declared somewhere. Const string separator equals tilde. Cool. Did I misspell separator? I might have. Nah, that's fine. Okay. So let's let's go ahead and use that in place. So separator. And the same thing here. We're going to go ahead and separate it there. And here. Makes it a little bit easier to read as well. We can see separators being used here. And IntelliSense, or hovering over it, tells us, oh yeah, that's just a tilde right now, because it is a constant value. Okay, so let's give it another try. Okay. So I paste that in, and then I use that text import. We can go ahead and say it's delimited by a tilde. Cool, and that gives us what we're looking for. We get nothing over here in that column, but we could get something. Okay, let's try it out with something larger. Let's try this whole section here. Okay, so let's bring that on in. Now, if I was at all worried about this process, I might do one step. Let's go ahead and I might do it one step over just to see. Use that text import wizard, delimited with a tilde, finish. And does it look like I got everything? You know, yes, it does look like this is all a duplicate of that. And I got my IDs. Awesome. So that all seems like pretty straightforward. So that means we can go ahead. Now, I eliminated that loop, but I kind of regret doing that actually. So I'm actually going to back out those changes I was doing right there. Okay, what did that look like? That just looked like while true, return 0. All right, cool. While true. What does that look like? Let's move that out of here for a minute. Okay, enter labels, blank line to proceed. Cool. So let's go ahead and do that. Oh, right. My right mouse button is firing twice. Okay, so we can see we got that, and we can do the next section. So cool. Let's do it. Let's go ahead and copy all that in. Blank line to continue. And all of that looks great. So let's go ahead and use the import wizard, delimited by tilde. Finish. Awesome. And we'll do these as well. All right. No results found. That's fantastic. Let's go figure out what I did wrong. And I think the problem here is probably just one of... Wait, why am I running? Probably one of plurals versus singulars. So dies are here. Moria silver dies, I wrote down. But the problem is these are all 6. And this is probably supposed to be Moria silver die. So let's actually just give that a check here. Yep. Okay, so we can search for dies, replace it with die. So find next, replace, yep. The candles are probably also going to have the same problem. If I search for assortment of dwarf candles, really? Okay. I have to look into that. Just to double check. Orange dwarf candles. What does it look like when I just have one? Orange dwarf candle. Yeah, okay. All right, let's take a look and see how that does. Okay, we can see most of them came back. So let's go ahead and process most of them using that text import wizard. Great. We have 2 results not found. So let's think about that. I probably misspelled Lorian for one thing. And coming on in here, yep, Lorian Gold dies. We can see there's that accent over the name. So if I come on in here and copy it out of chat, cool, we have it there. And the other one, assortment of dwarf candles, probably another copy-paste issue. Maybe. No result found. All right. Well, here's where I just delve into assortment of dwarf candles. Oh, that one is plural. Interesting. I guess that makes sense. All right, that gets us our final one. So, at that point, we have gotten all the things, and we've avoided a lot of copy pasting. And by making this tool a little bit more reusable for later, that means when we go and do this for Midsummer, we're going to be able to speed through this a lot. There's going to be a lot less copy paste of single items. So we're going to go ahead and give that a close. And come on in here to the full spreadsheet, or at least more of the full spreadsheet. And there's something going on there. Oh, that ref item count. All right. Well, when in doubt, reapply the formulas. Great. Okay. So we have 231 items here. It's much more than the 80 that had been there for quite some time. So let's go on into the source control and paste that in for Yule. Okay, awesome. Now we can see I failed to update the cost of some of these things, and that stands out very clearly. So let's go look at, I think it is this one over here, this vendor over here, and get those values as well, because everything has to cost something. Okay, so this is the More the Merrier War Steed collection. There we go. Yep, More the Merrier War Steed. So let's go ahead and get those values as well. All right, we need a little bit wider. Count. There we go. Nope. There we go. Okay. So we can see there's some duplications here, 70, 50, 40. So we can guess that it's 70, 50, 40 all the way down. 70, 50, 40, 70, 50, 40. Okay, that's good until we get to Yule Gala. All right, at that point it shifts, and we just have 50 across the board. And finally, the last there also 50. That works. Leon Hero is either suggesting that I do make an error on the ones that require Mithril coins, or that I did make one. I don't actually see Mithril coin offerings there. Oh, you know what I didn't do is look at the Yule festivities entry here. Oh, I haven't looked at the Mithril trader. All right, these take Mithril coins. I'm actually maybe less interested in these. I'll probably do them for completeness sakes. But we'll do the festivity one first. Yeah, sadly, my plugin cannot control whether the game actually charges you for things. All right, there's 10 mithril coins there. Great. Everything else looks like it has a cost. Cool. Okay. So, what does it look like when we add something new? Well, here's Yule festivities. Yule festivities. And we can do a couple of things. We can just copy paste, but that's a little less optimal than some of our options. So if we, let's go here. If we notice that when we control right click on something, it goes into chat. So like this. So we can take a whole page's worth of stuff there and copy, and then put it somewhere like a Sublime Text buffer. So I'm going to put it here. Why is that useful? Because Sublime Text will let us do some automation of things. Escape is the wrong key to use there. Okay. Let's see. Just grabbing a thing for later. Cool. So, we did the first however many, Purple Winter Celebration banner. Awesome. Let's move on to the next one. So, I like to do just 5 of these at a time. It keeps it a little bit more manageable. And then copy those and into the buffer. Cool. So that's the Native Frost Minutes of Comfort. Coming on into the next one. Oh yeah, clear this. There's only so much text that you can have in the chat window, so. Okay, that's that. Coming on in. I like to just click 1 so I can keep track of where I am in the window. Okay, so that's the entire first page, but notice that we do have 2 pages here. So we're going to move on to the next page. And 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now we've got this. What do we do with this? Well, Sublime Text is a tool that I'm quite fond of because it does allow for multi-editing. So we can select all of these end bracket, open bracket pairs and just make new lines out of them, and then find all the remaining open ones and clear those as well, and our one trailing closed one. So we now have a properly typed up list of things, including all the characters in Storfachen or whatnot, and we can just copy that over into our spreadsheet. And we can see there are a couple of duplicates here because I made mistakes, it looks like. Or these things are available for both festivity tokens and mithril. What's going on here? Snowstrider, Woundier, Tome of the Yule Princess, Bunny. Okay, Purple Winter Celebration, great. Start run smallest mace. Small Tome of the Alabaster Donkey. Oh right, my right click button is a little wonky. So, just like that. I think there's a physical problem. I tried unplugging and plugging it back in because sometimes USB benefits from that, but it didn't really help. Okay, so now we have a list of perfectly captured things from the game. And we can come back into the new tool we've developed that lets us go ahead and paste in this line of stuff, new line, and then we get all of the output. Now we can see the Frosted Bits of Comfort. I did not kill that trailing. Apparently, I was supposed to kill more of those trailing braces than I did. We'll just clean those up manually. I forgot. I said there was only one of them. There was 1 per line. So we're going to go ahead and try it again. So copy from there, paste to here. And that gives us all of our IDs. And we can paste that, press the wrong key, and we can paste that on into Excel. Again, taking advantage of that import wizard that's supposed to say not spaces, but with a tilde. Cool. Now we can see Wintry Outdoor Fire Pit is available via some other method as well. You can buy it from the it's a new reward, so it shows up in that other window, but it also shows up in the festivity vendor window. I think that's fine. So the only thing we need left is just to double check, do we only get one of everything? So far that looks true. Yep. And then the cost of everything. We can see it's not always 30, but not always 10, but a lot of them are. Whoops. 10, 10. Okay, that's good. We have some 20s. We have some more 20s. And some more 10s. And if everything's gone correctly, I can see it has not. We should, oh well. Here, let's hide some stuff. Hide. What's going on? Why did that happen? Okay, Winter Outdoor Fire Pit, yep. Tome of the Bunny, blue, purple, all that's good. Come on down. Alright, mace, mace, mace. Oh, no. I think I just offset by 1 here. But we'll double check. Alright. Mace, mace, mace. Alabaster donkey. Knitted frost. Okay, that's good. 20, 20, 10, 10, 10. Yep. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. There we go. And on the second page, 20, 20, 10, 10. Cool. Okay, so we now have another category here. So we did have 231 entries, and we can see that should still be correct. So we can just paste this in on the end. And if we reload our plugin, unload, reload, what we should find is that at the very bottom of this super long list are the festivity sections. And now we can view and link these just like we can view and link anything else. Awesome. So if we scroll down there, we can see Storvagon's smallest and small maces. They all have that 20. Awesome. Yeah, what I would like to do one of these years is add some filters. Like, I'm interested in all the cosmetic pets and all the mounts from an event, but I don't actually care where they come from. I just want to see what the list of them so I can tell which ones I already have. So I would love some filtering buttons up here that let me filter, just show me cosmetic pets, and then I can see Home of the Not So Grim, which costs 20 festivity tokens. I already have it. Awesome, great. So yeah, I can scroll through here and see that a little bit, all the tomes, but it's not quite as good as I would like it to be for that. So that's a feature I have in my head for the future. But we do have cosmetic pets and emotes section, and I can just scroll through there and say, okay, do I have that? Yep. Okay, all the rest of this is red. I'm distracted by a cat climbing on the printer. What do you think the printer's got for you? Should I make it start making noises? Okay. Oh, that's got his attention. What was that? Nope. It did not hold his attention long. Oh, I think he's excited because Little Redhead has some food. Okay, so that is how we add in items from that barterer. And then the final one would be the Mithril coin mounts over here, just for completion's sake. And really kind of a historical interest. If you go back to original Festival Buddy releases from 2014, you can see the items that were available then. Lots of exciting noises coming from the cats. Okay, so we have Yule Festival Steeds Mithril and Yule Festival War Steed Mithril. So we need two new categories. So we're going to come on in here. Get rid of that buffer. And all right, we have Yule Festival Steeds Mithril. So yeah, someone will be able to look back and say, oh, what was it in 2024, 10 or 20 years ago? That's interesting. That thing hadn't been introduced yet. These are all possibilities. Okay, so can we use the right-click trick that we had before? Let's take a look. Click, 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 click. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and copy that in. And then clear that, and then click, 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 click. No, stop it. Okay, Steed of the Winter Winds. So, picking up with Wintertide, Snowy, Frosty, Glittering, and Yule Festival Steed. Great. And Yule Festival and Winter Yule. Okay, so that's all of those. And so, what can we do here? All those interstitials we can get rid of. All those startings we can delete. All of those ending brackets we can delete. There we go. Okay, so coming on in to our spreadsheet, that is that list of them. And we can see some of them are newer, presumably, so they've appeared somewhere else. Yep, under new rewards. And more of the Merrier Steeds. Yeah, okay. And then the other group of them that we want is the Yule Festival War Steed. And under here, looks like there's 2 pages of these. So, copy those in. And that's those. So the next ones. Okay. That's those. And we'll take care of duplicates as they come up from this right-clicking silliness. Okay, final page. Awesome. And then the second window doesn't have nearly so many. Whoops. Okay, so just that last one. Same thing, close bracket, open bracket, make into a new line, open bracket, delete, and close bracket, delete. And that gets us what we need for this section. Lots of duplication here as well. Okay, so coming back in, we need our processor again. We're just going to go ahead and paste that on in. Okay, we can see lots of duplicates here, and that's okay. But it is a reminder that this procedure can be flawed. So we're going to use the text import wizard, take in tilde, finish that, and we can see these three found things are just giving us a sense of where to go ahead and highlight in bold, so that we can be aware of that. We'll come back in here in a moment and see how it affects us. Well, that's exciting. Okay, so we have that text to import. Use text importer. Hang on a sec. You can see there's two saddles there. Oh, of course. Okay, making sure we still have the same number of them, and we're going to go ahead and use that importer to separate based off of a tilde. Awesome. So, we have this. We need to go ahead and extend our generation, our formulas in Excel that are generating the Lua code that we need here. And I'd like to just go ahead and cover everything. Don't bother and just cover what you think is the new stuff. Do everything. So we're going down to line 302. We can go further than that. Bam. Okay. And that way you overwrite any mistakes that have crept in the meantime from moving stuff around, whatever. Okay, so we have 301 items now. Of course we do. So we're going to go ahead and bring that in to here. Oh, we didn't actually do the costs. That's not going to get us very far. So we need to start with the Yule Festival Sheets Mithril. Cool. Done with you. Okay, and we can see a lot of these are just 70. Are they all 70? That would be very convenient. Yep, we can see they were all 70. So in the mithril category, 70. Okay, well that's easy. War seeds, we can see 70 to here, 70 to here, 70 to here, and more 70s. Perfect. That makes it so much easier when they're just all the same value. Awesome. So we want to go ahead and grab all of these items, stick them on in to the Yule section here of code. And we can see something went wrong because our currency is still empty. So let's see what's up with that. Oh, that's the cost section, of course. Oh, I just wasn't far enough to the right there, I guess. Fascinating. All right. This is a fragile system, and I don't actually recommend it for doing things. I just haven't figured out a better way to do it for generating these Lua tables like this that can have complicated rules about what's there and what's not. I mean, there's got to be a better way to do it. Excel feels like the wrong tool, and yet, here we are. So we can see all these are now generic mithril of 70. Let's go ahead and get back into the game and see it there. All right, so Festivality Reloader. Let's reload that. Cool. So scrolling on down to even further down this window, we can see all these things are now worth 70. That's the War Steed for Mithril, and here's the Yule Festival Steed Mithril. Perfect. I guess that's another thing I would also like to do is deselect things that cost Mithril to buy. That'd be a nice filter. So let's have some ideas. Barter window improvements. Change to tree view so we can collapse sections. Add filters. Cosmetic pets. Mounts. Costs mithril to, or doesn't cost mithril, etc. Cool. We'll just capture that for later. So we now have a barter window that is up to date for this event, and confirming it, going line by line, is definitely worth doing, kind of, like for a perfectionist, but it's not worth doing on stream here. One can let a few mistakes slip through, and it's okay. But if I was curious, housing maps, and I can come on down here and find maps as well. We can see a map of Thorn's Gate, Forest Hill, Frostbluff, and Southern Barrow Downs, each for 15. That's looking pretty good. Might be nice to have those currencies that are spent in this window listed at the top of the window. I'll go ahead and add that too. Show any currencies used in window at top of window. Cool. So that was Yule. So what I'd like to do is step on over to Midsummer and do kind of the same thing. We're going to take advantage of a lot of copy pasting to make sure we don't have to bust our wrists typing all this thing, but also don't make mistakes. We're going to use these same tools that we've developed and hopefully a little bit faster now that we're more comfortable in our tools and our approach. So let's change this over to Midsummer. We can see Midsummer, there are categories here, so it's probably pretty up to date. I mean, unless I missed certain vendors. So we should have an easier time because we don't have to kind of start from scratch here. So let's return to Minas Tirith, Midsummer, Anorian after battle. Quite the name of the city. And we are going to assume that all of this is done at the very top. Now, it might be true that there are some barterers outside of Minas Tirith, but do they even matter if they're not in Minas Tirith? I don't know. But we're going to assume that it's the one standing at the top that we want to start with. Yeah, silly right button. Okay, so we have the wedding planner. Do we have anything there? No. And we have barter matron. Fantastic. So, one thing I didn't do before was the new items category. And I think that might be interesting. Actually, what I should have done, might still do that, is new rewards. I'm going to call that out as New Rewards 2023. I don't think they've changed any of their rewards for Yule for this repeat here. And so, because there's going to be new rewards each year, it doesn't make a lot of sense not to say New Rewards 2023. And that way it's a little bit easier to keep track of that. Okay, so one thing we need is a Midsummer version of this spreadsheet. because I don't think I made one of those, or if I did, I missed it. So we're going to go ahead and come on in there, cancel. We're going to go ahead and copy what we just did, Yule, and make that Midsummer. Oh, Excel. Why do you sometimes take a long time to open an empty spreadsheet? Okay. So this is Midsummer. So what we want to do is kill it. No, we're going to go ahead and delete most things here. Make a new 2024 section that we can play with. And so this, we need to update, so the spreadsheet can generate things correctly. We need to update what we have here. So no longer in Yule or anniversary. We're, nope, not Hobnanigans, Midsummer. So this is a Midsummer token. It is the main thing that we use to spend stuff. We have generic festivity and mithril. And do we have anything else that we think it's used? Mithril, more mithril, more mithril, mithril, mithril. Sweet. So new stuff, we will introduce other token. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and create this spreadsheet, which I should have done beforehand. It's quite possible that I did this kind of by hand, or at least in a more ad hoc manner. I didn't have a spreadsheet that I saved around. And unfortunately, well, I could just reverse engineer this. That's fine. Let's do that. Okay, so we want wedding garb. Absolutely, we want that. Actually, we'll get the new items and then we'll circle back around. And for these other categories, we're gonna we'll circle back around. So we're gonna do the same thing. We've got our chat window here, and we're gonna go ahead and just right-click things so we can copy out of chat. Oopsie. Well, I hope everyone around me wanted to hear that. And we're going to go ahead and bring up this, where we can do that. Oh, one of those costs mithril. Got to make sure we do that correctly. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, pot of wisteria moves on up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hear what Leon asks. I'm putting these things into chat so I can just copy them out of the chat window and get all of the spelling correct. Any weirdness is not going to be a problem because it's all straight from the game. I'm not typing it in, but I accidentally pressed enter just saying this list of things. So in fact, maybe I'll just switch to kinship chat so I don't risk that again. All right, so we have the large potted. Okay, cool. We're gonna move on. So yeah, they just saw me say a list of 5 midsummer things into general chat, which, you know, whatever. Maybe I'm really enthusiastic about them. Cool. All right, that's a large potted sun. Yep, got that. Okay, that's everything of the new items. So we can do the same thing that we did before. Break them up. Starting ones delete. Ending ones delete. And into the spreadsheet we go. Leon thinks that no one pays attention to general chat unless you have speech bubbles on. I definitely, I do get speech bubbles on because I do want to hear what people say, and otherwise I have problems. Okay, we can see I did some double right clicking. Gonna just fix that up. I have separated out chat tabs because I can't keep track of things otherwise, and so I'll have a tab that's just local stuff where I can capture emotes and people saying things without all the stuff that goes into the general tab, and a more restricted version of that, which is like kinship, fellowship, raid, where I can see what's going on just in the group that I'm in, essentially. And I find that helps a lot with sorting out who's saying what and where. Okay, we have. Let's drag that window over so we have a little bit more space to work with. And we're going to scroll all the way back up at the top and just get this. So Midsummer tokens, 10, 10, 10, 30. Mithril, 30. Just make everything cost the same is what they will not do. Okay. 15, 10, 10, 10, 15. And 15, 10, 12, 12, 15. Now, there's a mismatch here. I'm missing something. What is it? So, let's go a little bit more carefully. Circlet, ceremonial, hanging, tome, tome celebration. Oh, one of those duplicates was intentional. Of course. In case you really wanted to spend mithril on something. Why would you do that to yourself? Okay, so that solves that problem. And now the large potted circle poem, 15, great. Now, if you copy paste things around like I just did in Excel, you will break formula that assumes you did not do that. So what we want to do is go ahead and just refill in that formula to overwrite all of the bad stuff I just did to those formula. If you are doing that in Excel, you'll damage it. If you copy stuff into somewhere else like a notepad, and then clear your copy in Excel, and you come back and you select everything in the notepad and you paste it back in. It's just plain text. It's not going to break formula, but I was doing the shortcut, and that will definitely break the formula. Okay, or at least break it from what we're trying to do. So let's go ahead and, why do we keep closing that thing? Rerun our ID getter, and we're going to go ahead and paste all of these in, and we're going to get our IDs back out. So let's go ahead and use that text import wizard. I used tildes, and long ago I just figured tildes are a good way to avoid this problem. What on earth is going on with that? Okay, is it this thing? No. Hang on a sec. I found this thing. Oh, that's fun. Why is there a space? Yeah, it looks like there's two spaces there. That's funny. Is it true? I don't know. Doesn't matter. In the data files that I have, there's an extra space there. And so we're going to just pretend like that doesn't exist and grab the item ID manually. Okay, so we have all the IDs that we need. We have the cost for all of these, so that's all good. And what we'd like to do is not have to replicate all of this for the sections that we already have, if possible. So what sections do we have? We have wedding garb. Is that a thing that we have? Well, we can see, we pick it up at the summer concert cloak. Summer concert get garments. Yeah, that's all good. The cap is good. I assume the prices are good. I'm not actually paying attention to that. The Entwinning blossom garments, those are good. In fact, it looks like all the Entwinning outfit is here. Circlet, mantle of Entwinning, dress of Entwinning, Midsummer, cool. Yes, all of that is great. And then we come in here, grooms, racers, bridal dress. Some of these bridal dress and groom's tunics are a lot of fun. And okay, so what we want to do is we just want to come up and pull our old data for the wedding garb, but we have to make sure we leave space for 3 new things. And that's actually going to be called Midsummer Garb. Midsummer Garb, which actually makes a lot of sense because most of these are not wedding related. So it looks like they've renamed that category. So we got to leave room for 3 of those things, but the rest of them, let's figure out if we can backtrack these items in, because I'd very much like to not duplicate that effort. Okay, so pasting once again into my favorite text manipulation tool, Sublime Texture, and we're going to go ahead and just extend a selection on this vertical line to grab all of these comments right here. And that's going to be the first thing, is we have space for 1, 2, 3, and we're going to bring all of those here. And if I can do them in columns like this, then we'll avoid that whole importing thing with a tilde and that nonsense. Okay, so now all of these lines, we can go ahead and find just the IDs for these items and import that in. Awesome. And the last thing is they're all Midsummer token. We can see that. And actually, they all just cost 10, which is nice. But if they didn't, that would be okay, because we can just paste in those values from there. Okay, so yes, the answer is yes. We can very much backtrack things from what they were to here, and that's going to be very nice. I am curious. The Yule comments, yeah, they did not. This is definitely some hand-done stuff right here, or at least maybe an extension to that. Okay, so wedding garb, that's good. Cosmetic pets, let's take a look at that. Oh, I'm sorry, moving too fast. Let's grab these 3 items that were not a part of that. So, copy those out. Geez, some of these are named long things. Okay, so that's the 3 items there. And what we want to do is run that through. Now, we could actually just grab the ID from here, since we can see that duplicate. Circlet of hanging, yep, ceremonial staff. Cool, yeah, we can just grab those. And we should be able to see that those are also the same cost, which was 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, great. Okay, so the Midsummer garb is done. Let's go look at cosmetic pets. You would think there might be some new things, and that's fine. I know the wild chocolate is new. Wedding celebration, that makes sense. But beyond that, oh, red wine snake, I know that's new. Starting at summer concert firefly, we can see things start to line up. Purple, red, Gondor. Yep, that's it. So we want to leave room for 1, 2, 3, 4 new things. And this is cosmetic pets. Awesome. Nope, not that one. This one. So, just going to paste that in. What? No. There we go. Okay, so what we want to do is, again, leaving room for 4 of them. We're going to take the rest of these on in. One, 2, 3, 4, and new. Cool. What we want to do next is grab that ID. And these are all Midsummer tokens of 20, which makes it easier. But we don't need them to be the same. Cool. But we left room for 4 of these, so we need to come get those. So we're going to go ahead and 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're intentionally duplicating the celebration pony. Okay, reformat these. New line there. Get rid of those, and we're good. How many duplicates do we have here? All of them. Okay. Celebration, wild chocolate, wine snake. Cool. And then that means we should be able to grab that as well. So we're looking for 30, mithril, 20, and 20. Great. Telerian says, and welcome to chat, Telerian. Nice, you released the updated Festival Buddy 2. I have a question considering localization. Do you plan to localize pictures in the quest guide? The answer is, given an unlimited amount of time, I would definitely want to localize pictures. So if you have ideas for how to do that in a way that can, still fits in that super tiny space in the festival guide, and I assume you're thinking things like, let's see, for Midsummer, how much is there on the maps? But I assume you're thinking things like Harvest Math, where the map definitely has stuff, like Main Settler, Cobweb Wing, and all that. Yeah, if you have thoughts for what the images, what would work better in German, I'd be happy to add support in for localized images. Right now, we just say there is an map, but we could definitely just extend that to say there is a map, and there is a different one if you have other languages. Default to the English one if we don't have anything else. But if we have a German, if we have a French, use those instead. Oh, Tolerance says players tier. Oh, good point. Yeah, that's true. All these. I didn't think about that. The background for the Minas Tirith maps is definitely in the English. So, Talarian, if you sent me a list of these quests and these festivals could use localized maps, that would be cool. And if it's just a screenshot from in-game, that's doable on my end, no problem. But if it's something like the Harvest Math Haunted Burrow, then it'd be useful to know what text should replace what. If you have the desire and if you have the time to send me that information, then I will try to figure out how to make Festival Buddy understand localized maps. Jillian says, I know it's a minor problem. So, I don't know. I have not received much feedback from players who play with the French or the German client and used Festival Buddy. So, in a certain sense, I don't know that anyone's making use out of these things. I'm happy to support French and German players who are not playing with the English client, but there's a lot of players like you who just use the English client and then. So one thing that could be interesting is plugins don't have to follow the client language. You could have an override that says no, just use the French version of this plugin. But I don't think anyone out there actually does that. I think they just follow the client language, and I think that's fine. Like if you're playing with the English client language, you probably want English plugins as well. Oh, Telerian, he does use a German client. I must have been talking to someone else. Someone I was chatting to is a native German speaker, but they play with the English client. So cool. Yeah, then Telerian, you are seeing it. Happy to support you then. Yay! Okay, so we have grabbed these for new cosmetic pets, and we already had information for the old cosmetic pets. So what's next? Midsummer Steeds. I would like the barter window to be resizable, or at least vertically. Make window resizable vertically. Now that's a little bit harder than it sounds like sometimes, because if you make the window resizable, that doesn't necessarily make anything inside the window change. And so you also have to, whenever the window changes, you have to resize the height of this box in the window, and possibly resize the height of the scroll bar next to it, and it just kind of snowballs. So it's not just a single flag to say, okay, this window's resizable. Like you can do that, but then you just resize the window and nothing else happens. So that's a future project. Okay, Midsummer Steeds. Okay. So we can see Summer Concert accessory, comparison, saddle, steed. Ore seed of entwining blossoms, comparison of entwining blossoms, headpiece of entwining blossoms, saddle of entwining blossoms, steed of entwining blossoms, and okay, so no changes here for 2024. So we can just import that. Yeah, Tillian says, as said, I noticed 2 minor problems in the quick guides. I wanted to ask if I should send you a complete translation or tell you this way what I think is wrong. I think I get very distracted while I'm doing the streaming thing. So if you don't mind, in Discord, we've got that chat going anyway. Go ahead and send them there, and that way I can just mark it as unread until I've actually done something about it. And that way I know I don't lose it in the all of the madness. Nope, not that one. In fact, I'm just going to close that window. I keep going to it incorrectly. Okay, so the Midsummer Steeds, we're able to just take this completely. And so we're going to go ahead and copy this into our favorite buffer. And so in this case, I'm going to go ahead and do a multi-select based off of the dash dash. And then strip out those values there. We're going to move on into the IDs. And then for those things that are Midsummer tokens, we're going to go ahead and, can we? No. I think what I actually need is a little bit more space to work with there. Okay, so we're going to copy that, and then coming down to an empty space, and there we go. And then we can copy this into Excel. Add some more token there, and then the rest of them we could do the same thing if we needed to. There's not that many of them, but we're going to go ahead and copy that down here, and that lets us keep that spacing in there. Looks great. Okay, so that's the Midsummer Seeds section. Instruments. I'm guessing nothing has been added yet. I know they keep teasing us about some other instruments, but okay. Drum, theremin, bagpipe, cowbell, pipcorn, mountain harp, fiddle, and bassoon. Okay, we get to reuse all of that. Fantastic. So let's come on in to the code. That's a new section here, instruments. And in those instruments, let's hoist that on up and start grabbing things. So, summer celebration loot, great. You and all of your friends. And these all cost Midsummer tokens. Conveniently, they all cost 10 Midsummer tokens. Okay. Next section is fireworks. Those 4 are all the same. Makes it easy. Okay, so we're going to take that. On in here. And same thing, grab these names. Nope, not there. All right, next section is emotes. Still the same 3, awesome. At a certain point, the automation of grabbing this feels a little overkill-y. Like, one could just copy-paste each of the things, but it's a lot like if you have a hunter in the party, you could just walk from one place to another, but why would you? Why would you use your legs when a hunter can do it for you? Okay, and we can see these are all 30 Midsummer tokens. Fantastic. Okay, next section is housing items. That's funny. More housing items came before housing. Oh, of course. Oh, they fixed it. Awesome. So for some reason, they had more housing items than they had housing items. So I'm glad they're coming back and fixing that kind of thing. So housing items, we can see they have added things because it used to just be Midsummer Stable. Or have they? Hang on. No, they just renamed it. They just changed the name. That's funny. Okay, so it's always possible that I had it wrong, but I try to match what they do in games. So I'm gonna think that they did that. I actually have a screenshot from Yule, I think, which had a list of like, there were 3 pages of something, and it was page 3, page 1, and page 2 were how they were listed in the dropdown, and things like that just sneak in. Okay, so under housing items, we start with the Midsummer Stable. Ornate box planner, modest L, tiered silver, small, terrain, roast, pedestal, tier, Terran chair. All right, pastry tower. Okay, so everything that is under housing items, we're going to put under more housing items. So we're going to go ahead and just place that right here. And this is where the automation comes in handy. So I'm going to start by grabbing the names of everything. And then we've gotten that, so we're going to grab the IDs. And then from that, they're all Midsummer tokens. Yep. Cool. So we've imported all of that. That's everything in the more housing. Or, yes. They're calling it more housing. So we started with the Midsummer Stable and are ending with the Floating Lantern open. That is correct. So let's go into their housing items and see what's changed there. So that was what we were calling more housing. And we can see, starting with the music stand, everything is still the same. So we have these new items here. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 of them. Now, we do know that there's a lot of duplication here because these things were already in the new rewards. So Brimful Quiver, large, potted. In fact, that's 13 items right there. I'm going to just assume that that is correct for a minute. All right, skinny, potted, large, small, medium, tall, large, and then the music stand. Cool. So this is where we can pick up the other ones. This was under the more housing items previously. And we can see that we need 10 spaces in the spreadsheet. We've got more than enough, not a problem. Okay, let's grab those IDs. And they all cost Midsummer tokens, but different amounts. So being able to automate the copy paste there, very handy. Okay, so that's good. We're going to go ahead and collapse this back down. We will go ahead and reapply the Excel formulas all the way down to fix up any issues that have crept in. Okay, so that was more housing items. Let's go into essences. Did I even include them? I did not. Do I care? How much do I care about those? It's fine. 60 tokens sure seems like a lot, though. Okay, so it's the same item, it just costs different things. So we're going to go ahead and find an essence reclamation scroll, which is ID number 1879 and so on. And we can see the first one of these cost 60 tokens, and the second one costs, yeah, I don't even know if I want to include that. Scrap of Essence Reclamation Scroll. That is not a festival token. Nope. It's beyond the scope of this. But I will include that you can get the Essence Reclamation Scroll if you feel like it. Alright, Black Root Steed. I'm guessing these are pretty unchanged. Alright, flag, comparison, headpiece, saddle, steed, and cosmetics in Mithril. Yep. We'll go ahead and do all four of these here. Lamedon. Yep. Lebanon. Cool. And Lawsonark. Alright, feel pretty good about that. Let's go ahead and pull all of those in pretty much one go. So we're going to come on into what we had, which was these four. And we're going to hoist that on in to Sublime Text. And we're going to do some manipulation here because we are crossing categories. Okay, so for those things that say divider, we're going to go ahead and, we're just going to go ahead and do that. Yeah, so for those things that say divider, we're going to go ahead and move that on down. Cool. And then we're going to go ahead and paste those in here. And that gives us our categories that we're working in. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so besides that, we want to go ahead and pull out all of this. Yeah. No, I did it wrong. Pull out all of that, and then just move on down here. And again, this is maybe more complicated than it needs, but I'm trying to practice a skill. No, it's not. Why is it not working? Okay, so copy that. Oh, that's not going to work. Gotta do it better. Copy that in place using the same multi-select, bring it on down here and paste. There we go. And that allows us to go ahead and copy into here, and everything is fine. Yeah, okay. So using the same scale, and this is just something I'm trying to practice here. Again, I could do this faster in a different technique, but it wouldn't let me practice keeping those spaces in there. So I'm just taking advantage here. Okay, so the Midsummer tokens, all of those, and this is where it's really going to come into play, is I can select this region and only get the Midsummer token versions. And then the Mithril, we can bring that on down Awesome. And that lets us maintain those spaces just like that. Okay, so if we've been keeping up as we go, then that is everything. That gives us our new rewards 2024 category, as well as everything else. Now, as I said, we're going to come on over here and copy down. It's the Control D shortcut. What is that? I don't even know. It's like fill down. That's what it is. So I'm going to use fill down to bring those formulas down to make sure that I didn't screw anything up with all the moving things around that I just did. And then we're going to go ahead and take this. Oh, that's not good. Where did I start? Okay. So that's exactly what I'm talking about. All right, copy down. And do these look okay? Yeah, those all look fine. So we have 196 items that are going on in. We had 154. So we can see we've added 40 or 50 items there. Okay. So if we go ahead and back into the game and we reload Festival Buddy, we should see all of those new items in there. So, new rewards 2024. It's items in this one. New items. Is it rewards in Yule, or did I just make that up? And yes, the divisor labels have support for German and French if anyone wanted to translate those. So, yeah, Tillarian, if you feel like it is an oversight to not have these categories translated, we have support for it. All we just need are the translated terms. But that's a minor point, probably. Okay, so we can see 10 to 10, 30 mithril coins. Anything else in here cost mithril? No. Midsummer garb. I think I'll just scroll through real fast and check for things that cost mithril. Okay, cosmetic pets. Wedding celebration pony, 30 and 30. That just does not feel like a good exchange rate. And then the rest of these things. Awesome. I think I've gotten all these, but I should double check one of these times. Okay, same thing for mounts. Let's come into the Midsummer Steeds. We can see 70-70 on the mithril, another 70-70. Tillarian, the items, because they're referenced by item ID, these should all be localized, but it's these section headers like new items and midsummer garb. Those are probably available in the game, but I don't have a good way to copy paste out of this dialogue. And I wouldn't be able to tell easily if I was making a mistake. So if you wanted to send the translations for those to me, I would use them. But so far I haven't taken the time to get in here and try to get those myself. And those places where I change them or make them up or something, yeah, those would just need to be translated. Okay, so we have updated our barter window for Midsummer. So that's an updated release that can go out pretty but much by itself if we wanted to. We don't have to wait for any other things. But what time is it? Have we run out of time? We're kind of at the end here. Yeah, Tillarian, if you're able to type this up as text, that would mean I could copy paste it without introducing any spelling errors that I wouldn't be able to easily detect because it's not my language. Swapping two vowels or whatnot. So if you are able to type up these entries and then send them to me on like Discord, for instance, then I would be happy to include them in over here, and the barter window could make use of them. If that's too much effort, totally understand. Screenshot is better than nothing. Okay, but that being said, yeah, we are at 2.5 hours almost here on the stream, so I think this is a good point to wrap up. So while I'm pulling my source control back up and we can look at that, now's a great time to get any last minute questions, comments into chat so we can look at them before the end of the stream, or else save them for next time. All right, so I use Fork as a program that wraps around Git. And we're going to come into Festival Buddy 2 and take a look at what we've changed. Now the first thing I can see is that there's a temporary file there because Excel is still open and it's hanging on to something. I don't want to mess with that, so I want to close Excel before I start making these, adding these to source control. So, updated Yule and Midsummer barter items for 2020 Yule, 2023, and Midsummer 2024 barter items. Okay, so that's the Midsummer and Yule spreadsheets, and then we'll include those to-do items there. And the big question is what's going on in the barter items window. So we're going to pop this open and make sure we didn't accidentally change something that we didn't mean to, and that we did change what we did mean to. And so the first thing we can see here is none of the Yule items had comments as to what they were. No, they did. They're just, that window's not wide enough. We'll widen it up a little bit. Okay, so we can see that is how Beyond Compare is lining things up, using the comments even though other things have changed. But we can see things that haven't changed, like the cost of things. So that's promising that we've done things correctly. We can see the new section up here, the new rewards. That makes sense. We can see new section headers, dividers, consumables, cosmetic clothing. And we can see the housing decorations. That looks pretty new. More dividers, festival gifts. The more the merrier steeds, the more the merrier war steeds. Cosmetic pets and emotes. Rewards of Yule's past. There might be a lot of new things that have been added in since the Yule rewards were put in there. Okay, what else do we have? Coming on in here, we take a look at Midsummer, and we can see the new items are up at the top. Wedding garb has turned to Midsummer garb, which I think is actually a really fitting change, because most of this is not wedding. We have the 3 new items there. Cosmetic pets, we have the new items here. And then we can see that I just didn't maintain the spaces between dividers, and that's okay. New housing items. They fixed the order of new and more. Went ahead and added the essence thing. I don't know how much that matters, but completionist, I guess. Okay, cool. So all of that looks great. We're going to go ahead and put that in there as well. Updated Yule and Midsummer barter items. Am I on a branch? I am not. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and push that out to the cloud, so there's a backup somewhere. And neat. So, what are some things I think of when I look at that barter item window? Well, we've captured them in this to-do. I'd love to make that window resizable vertically. At the very least, vertical resizing is usually pretty straightforward. Horizontal can be more complicated, but could be doable. But I think we'd really benefit from vertical here, where just being able to see more of these items in one go. Changing to a tree view. I would love the new items here, that just to be a header of a tree with a little plus and minus button that we can click and just say, nope, don't care about those right now. Adding filters, some sort of filtering feature. Maybe there's a little funnel button that you can click that pops up a dialog, I don't know. And lets you select things you do or don't care about. Exclude things that cost mithril, for instance. I'd love to be able to do that. And yeah, we already have currencies on the Festival Buddy window for that event. We can see here we're saying Midsummer tokens and mithril are in play. I'd like to just be able to replicate this bar right here up at the top here. So, oh, that costs 10. I've got 62. That's great. Oh, that costs 30. Somehow I've got more than that, so that's great. I think that'd be useful. So those are ideas for future barter window improvements, but that's not necessarily a this month thing. That's just a next time I get around to making the barter window better, I have a list of things that I want to do about that. Okay. Well, I think we've accomplished everything I wanted to today, which was basically just updating those Yule and Midsummer barter items. And you can see how that kind of falls to the wayside over time. The synchronization effort of making sure everything in game exists in the plugin, it just takes a careful eye. You just got to go through, and when you do find those items that are missing, you've got to be able to grab them and also find those item IDs. And you can do it, a plugin can get item IDs from stuff in your inventory, but I'm not sure how to get it from a window like that other than going to one of these data dumps. So being comfortable with that is very good. All right, well, that's everything we're going to cover today. Thank you so much for joining me on this exploration of LOTRO plugins. I do hope to see you all here next week, and until then, keep plugging along. All right, bye-bye.